All right, we are back at it. Holy cow. All right, back at it. And I'm not too sure if the quality is better. You guys let me know. I don't know, actually. It looks like crap on my side. I don't know what's going on. There is major echo. Okay, hold on. All right, is there any echo now? Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for asking. Let's crank it up a bit. Let me know if the quality of the stream is good or not. Ah, that's why. Yeah, playing it twice might be a reason why you get echo. I've added glue. I've cleaned up the build plate and I've added glue this time. So now it should be holding up good, I hope. Hopefully. I just want to know if the quality of the video is good or not, because I've set the bitrate to the maximum allowed by YouTube. So I don't know if it's good or not. Okay, good. Thank you, Dust Muffins. That's a cool name. Quality's fine, perfect. All right, let me take a look at what's going on here. First layer looks good. I should maybe have waited a bit because the first layer takes a bit of time. I've cranked it up to 5K and 200 millimeters. And there's a lot to print on the first layer, so let me see if I can speed it up a bit. That should help. Oh, that's kind of cool. I can't wait, Steve, for you and Modbus to get started. That's gonna be a good one to watch. Yeah, the first layer is a bit long. I'm looking at it from the top. I don't think... Well, yeah, I could probably crank up acceleration, since it's going to ask it based on features, and it's only walls here, so I think if I set it manually, it should speed it up. Yep, it is speeding it up, 10K. Oh, really? Oh, you're doing like a studio setup or something? That's cool. Okay, so let me show you here. This is what we are printing. And you see a bit of the camera in the main cell. And let me bring up the slicer. That's a slicer. Oops. Slicer. So this, let's do a preview. This is a chainmail. I thought it would be cool because it's going to be challenging. It has a lot of mini details and bridges. As you can see, there are bridges about everywhere. And this is fan speed. Let's go to speed. It's going to be 250 millimeters, and it was set at 40K. So I don't know how that's going to work. Hopefully that's going to work good. I have good faith. I think it's going to work okay. Alright, going back to the chat. Yeah, Z-drop. Do you mean like a Z-hop? I didn't do any Z-hop on this one. Might have been good to have, but then it would have slowed down the print, and I wanted to do something a bit more impressive. Though the Z-hop on this machine can be very fast. Have I ever considered about a tool changer? There's a side project going on about a tool changer that we might be exploring. But so far, no. It's still a project. Looking at the first layer in the corner, I didn't do the bend mesh, and this is a new plate I've put in. So the first part on the left corner seems to be a bit too high. Hopefully that has stuck enough on the bed, so it's going to be good. Looks like it is quite good, so I think that's going to work. I don't really normally use the beacon sensor every time. Maybe I should, because it's a fast sensor and it scans it very fast. Alright, we're getting close to a completed first layer. It's a lot faster this way. I should have sliced it at 10K to start with. That's cool to watch, that first layer. I'm just right on top of the printer right now, and it's laying it down very fast and very cool to watch. Those tiny details are printing quite good. Alright, we're printing with PLA, by the way. This is a UZ Premium filament, just because I had it right on the printer, ready to go. And when I do these kinds of stream in the night, my son and girlfriend are sleeping, so I don't want to open the door of my print room, and I don't want to start the system filtration because it makes more noise for videos and stuff, so I print with PLA. It's a bit less toxic for my super young lungs, because yeah, I'm young. I pretend to be. Water cooling lines are red. Yep, they are red. Well, the lines are actually clear, but the coolant inside is red. Oh, there we go. You heard, right? I don't know if you heard that. I did. The mic is in my face, so not close to the printer. Let me go close to the printer so you can hear the printer better. That is crazy fast. I don't know if the camera will be able to catch that. It's 30p right now. 30 frames per second. So that might not be good enough, but it is quite fast. Though I'm looking at just gonna add a bit more pressure advanced. There we go. That should be better. Holy cow, it's flying. And I think the good thing about it is we can still crank up acceleration because, well, though it's set in the slicer, since it's not changing from like infill to walls, and it's always walls, so I think we could crank it and that would work. Oh, maybe not. Nope, it's It's not letting me. It's resetting every time. Let me try something here. 40K. Nah, I can't crank it, but I can crank speed. Though, at 40K, yeah, that's probably gonna be... So we're reaching a flow of 43 sometime. It's just bursting, it's not constant. We are doing 0.24 layer height with 0.5 nozzle. I still run that buzzle nozzle. Wow. I don't know how it's gonna do the bridges. Oh, I think it broke a little chain here. And those motors are surprising me every time. It is so quiet. I don't know how the microphone will catch that, but from here it is very quiet. You hear more the CPAP fan than anything else. Yeah, you're asking how is that X-beam is working so far? This is the first print I do with it. I just I tuned input shaper, and I was very happy to see a big improvement in the Y. Like it gained about 10K recommended acceleration and a lot of hertz in frequency. So far I think it's gonna help the printer. How much is it gonna help? I don't know, but it's a bit improvement, and every bit of improvement counts. Let me see if I can move camera on top. It sure is printing fast. Now I can't wait to see those bridges and how it's going to do it. I would like to know why you still use 6mm GT2 and why not 9mm. Well, the design was made for 6mm, and it does not permit to go higher or wider belt than that. So since we're putting the gantry on the side of the extrusion, which is 21mm, if you put two idlers on top of each other, that's about the height that you're gonna get, and you can't make them wider unless you change the position and change a lot of things on the design. So it would be a totally new redesign just to get bigger belts. And I don't know if that's going to be an improvement, honestly. Maybe on the bigger printer, but we've done a 500 millimeter VZ butts, and the input shaper result on the machine was quite good already, because we're doing all-wheel drive. So I don't know. Bigger belts also means more frictions on everything. It also means more tension on your motor shafts. So you have to probably add another bearing and add another support for the motor shaft. Otherwise, there's going to be way too much tension on it and might break it, because you have to give it more tension to bring that belt to that required frequency that you need. So it's a lot more tension on the bearing on those steppers. Oh, I think there is one link that broke. Yep, one down. I don't know which one it is. I have the object canceller on the printer. There are 3 links down. The 2 first one I can probably cancel in the slicer. Not slicer, but I don't think I can cancel them because they're part of a single STL file. Dang it. So we're gonna see some crap happening on those chains that are missing. So that might not work as good as I thought it would. But it's still gonna give us something. For GT3 versus GT2, that's something I would like to test, but from what I've heard from other people testing it, it didn't improve a lot of things. It didn't change a lot between... They're supposed to be about the same specs, so I don't know. I got something on order, I think, from Fabrico, so as soon as I receive those belts, I will install them and test them and see if it improves anything. You should have printed the chainmail in TPU. Yeah, well, I think in TPU it would have worked, but the only thing is with TPU, it strings a lot more. And those chains are very close to each other. I think if we go with TPU at that speed, it would be a mess. Might work, I don't know. I gotta test that. That would be a cool thing. Cool experiment. Well, don't be too hard on your Bamboo Lab. It's a nice printer, considering you buy that thing and it's ready to go. You don't have to put any sweat on it. It's a great machine, that's for sure. They have shook the whole market with that beast. And for the price you pay, plus the tool, not the tool changer, but the AMS system, they blow away any competition, I think. Are you still using LDO steppers with TMC 5160? Yep, they are LDO superpower motors that we worked with LDO to make a special version for the VZ butt, and they are the round shafts, so we can very easily synchronize all motors. So, and we're using 5160s external. Right now it's running at 2.4 amp on each motor. I can crank the amperage on those motors. That's not an issue. They are all water cooled, so they don't heat up. They can take the beating. So how does the round shaft work with the pulley? It just works the same way as a D-cut shaft, except you don't have a D-cut, so you just torque down those little set screws, and that's it. I mean, E3D has those. Their E3D motors don't have any D-cut shaft. They're round shaft, and I've used them in the past, and I mean it doesn't slip. You just torque them, and you're good to go. And the reason why we did that is to be able to synchronize them, because we don't want to use that D-cut shaft because it forces you to install that pulley at that location only, and there's no adjustment permitted with that D-cut. So round shaft is the way to go for all-wheel drive system, I think. And it holds up. I've even done like 80K with that, no issue. 2,000 millimeters, 80K, and they held up. No slip, no layer shift, no nothing. So the print is still going. I don't know what happened to those 3 layer links that are missing, where that plastic went. I have no idea. But it's still printing, and it looks okay. If I look at it very, very close, it looks like it's not too bad quality. I don't know if those corners are round. Let me check the model, because it looks a bit rounded on my print. Oh, they are straight corners on the model, I think. So yeah, it's rounding it a bit at that speed, but not too much. Yep, set screws can be very tough, especially when you're using the entire shaft. The contact is going to be good enough. If I wanted to make a quieter, slower version of VZ235, what feature could be downgraded for the recommended kit? Quieter. To get it quieter, I would not use... Well, that's a good question. I would get rid of that CPAP and just use a... Well, that's not actually true, because CPAP can be quiet. As you can see now, it's running and it's really quiet. It's at 60%. To make it more quiet, I don't know. It's really quiet the way it is. With the super power motors, the printer is super quiet. So I don't know what could be improved for noise. Servo motors. That question comes back often. I've played with servos in the past. It's nice, it's fast, it's a good, but it's expensive. So I don't know. I like steppers. They are precise, they are cheap, they're working good. Especially those steppers, the Superpower are great motors. I don't know if I want to go back and experiment with servos. Servos is, you gotta tune them right, and it's not easy. Well, I know some servos have auto tuning and stuff like that, but I'm not an expert in servos, so I don't know. Yeah, you can definitely run those steppers on 24 volts. They will run very good. There's no worries there. Well, right now, if you want to, the microphone is at about 4 feet from the printer. and I don't think I could totally have a conversation on the phone. And I've lost another link. Another one here. Yep, we're down 4 links. So I don't know. Maybe a Z-hop would have been required here. With Z-hop, it wouldn't have happened, especially when we're going to do the bridges. I just didn't want to use Z-hop because it would have slowed down the print by a lot. There is a lot of retraction in this one. It's tons of it's almost a lot of retraction. Every spot is a retraction. But I'm still surprised at how well it does that chainmail at that speed. Yeah, 0.4 millimeter Z-up. I normally do 0.5. Why I do 0.5 is if there's any, how do you say that? I forgot the word in English. Damn words. If there's any backlash in my old-M couplers, I've measured the backlash and it's like maybe 0.05, almost 0.01, but it doesn't happen when you do when the Z doesn't go super fast. If you Z-hop fast enough, then all you have to do is Z-hop higher than the backlash and you should be good to go. You should only sped up the 3rd layer. Yeah, the first layer was the only one slowed down, and then it cranked up. I don't think with this print, I don't think people will be patient enough to wait for 3 layers. That would be a very long print. It's a speedy print, I can tell you. I don't know if it's going to be able to complete with those 4 links down. You can see that in the left front corner we're missing a couple links right here. So the PLA for those will go on the next layers, on the next links. I don't know what's gonna happen, but so far I don't see where it's going. Oh, yeah, okay, I see it. Minimal. Yep, it's cropping it out right here. That sucks. I wish I could have made a perfect chainmail. Franglish. That's my language. Franglish. What are the water tubes made of? They are polyurethane. I don't use silicone. They are way too soft, and they soften more with heat when the printer is enclosed. So I use polyurethane, and they're harder, they're stiffer, and they don't I don't have that English word, but they don't let the coolant come out with evaporation as much as silicone, I think. I'm not the specialist there, so don't take my word for the absolute truth, but I think that's what it does. Yeah, you're right, Ivan. It's gonna gonna bump everything, so there's a bit of plastic here, unless every time on each layer I try to squeeze it down. There's another one link right here missing. It's a little scary to put my fingers. Yep, yeah, you're totally right. Here we go, another link down. And that's gonna do that in a snowball effect. We're gonna let it go. We never know. It might complete, or it might fail in a complete mess of giant blob. Right now it's doing those little tiny poles or posts. I don't know how to call that. I'm gonna zoom in a bit. It is doing some tiny things. Yeah, I'm gonna ask people next time, what should I print? What people would like to see printed on this one. Do you have a favorite Canadian local supplier? It depends for what. For parts, for filament, for... I don't know. I have a good friend there in 3D Printing North. He's got good stuff. He's a good guy. I like to encourage his business. He's from the Annex Engineering team as well, so it's good to encourage community people. Other than that, I have Sparta 3D in Canada that I like. Oh, there we go. Another link down. Yeah. It's dropping like flies. So I don't think this print will complete. If one leg goes down, then it's a chain reaction where the plastic will just hit the other link. So I might have to stop that print soon. It's a chainmail reaction. Hey, don't be too hard with your CR10. You know, I started with it was a Trunk C P. What's that name? P800, and well, it was like a Prusa, and it was a crappy printer, complete crap. Then I had a Trunk C X3. Then I had a Trunk C X5S, and then I said that's enough. I'm gonna build my own because it's crap. Let it complete. Yeah, we'll see. How many times left? We are at 36%, and the slicer estimate the rest about 23 minutes. So yeah, we can let it finish unless it starts to really crap up, and I don't want, since there's no Z-Hub, I don't want to hit the Goliath on a big blob of plastic at that speed. Though it doesn't look like it's very fast, but it's a lot of acceleration. Yep. All right. Do you plan on working on air-cooled extruder short Goliath variant? I don't know if that's gonna be enough cooling. It would need a big fan to cool that down. Not saying it's impossible. It is possible. Everything is possible. It's just where I've tried to think where we could mount it. It's a bit hard, but maybe it doesn't need that big of a fan, because I've tried my short Goliath without any coolant, and it was printing. It didn't have issue. So the whole metal print head was acting as a big heatsink. I didn't test with PLA, that was with ABS, and it was fine. But I know I've done my Goliath air cooled without any fan, and it was fine as well. And I know Guillaume in the VZBot team still runs his Goliath without any fan, and he prints PLA without issue as well. So yeah, maybe something to work on in the near future. I know a lot of people don't like to have water cooling because it adds a layer of complexity, and they are afraid of mixing electronics with water. I don't think there's nothing to worry about. If you do it right and try to isolate coolant on the electronics, there's still a risk. There is still a risk, but I mean, we've been doing PC water cooling for years, and if it's done right, it's good. The VZ print head is awesome, but does it use the same mounting holes for the dock as EVA 2.4? The mounting, it's the same as EVA 2.3. Well, yeah, well, it's too much movement. Those are flexible. I've been beating really hard on it, and I never had any spillage, so I don't. Oh, there we go. I'm going to remove that from the front. But I have, I'm confident on the setup. I'm confident that it's not gonna leak. I'm confident it's gonna be fine. And I never thought I would like water cooling, because I was like you guys. I was like, no way, I'm not gonna do that. It works fine with air. Don't bother going water cool. But as soon as I got my Goliath on water, I felt and saw the difference. Get some tweezers. No, I have 10 fingers. If I lose one or two, I still have others left. Have you considered making a slightly smaller Goliath? Yes, but with my experience with different size Goliath, I think the size of this one is about the best size you can go. If you go longer than that, it's a waste of weight. It's a waste of length, because unless you go with a super big nozzle, you won't be able to push it as much as the length of that Goliath. So this is a 50 millimeter, well, 40 plus added in the nozzle, about 50. If you go longer than that, you will have to use a big nozzle to be able to push it to its limit. So it's just a waste. We're printing with 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, and I think it's the perfect length for that. The only thing that bothers me on the Goliath is the huge connectors for the heater. It's one of the downside, but it's also a reason why it performs good is because it's wrapped around and it's heating the entire heat zone evenly all around. We could. I had another design that uses like a heating cartridge that was 40 millimeter long. It was way cheaper to machine and to make. So maybe we're gonna make a cheaper version of the Goliath that has that. It's something I've been thinking about. I'm not too sure if it's gonna be better, but we could probably make it cheaper that way. But you know what? I like the look of it, and I like that it's different. Nothing else in the market was using except mold injection, because this was inspired by injection molding. In fact, this was a guy on Instagram that I met. I can't remember his name, but he had that kind of my first prototype. He sent me the heater, and I've built it, and I've built the Goliath around that. I've modified it, shaped it the way I wanted it, and it started there. Yeah, I have a lot of ideas for another hot end and another extruder, but later. Right now, you can't release too many products at once without pissing people. That's one thing. But I think, I mean, this setup right now, I just love it. I can keep the printer like that, and there's not much I'd like to improve on this setup. I like every bit of that. There are always things to improve for sure. But I'd like to work on a high temperature VZBot next. Something more commercial or more with bigger frame, bigger everything. But first of all, we got to go out of beta and got to sink down on what we have and make it better, work on better documentation and stuff like that. So we're getting there. What is roughly the cost of this printer? So you can buy this exact same printer as a kit, except without the water cooling, for $1,200 plus about $300 shipping. If you want to make it exactly the way it is, exactly what you see there, you can add another maybe roughly $200, and you'll get a decent water cooling setup with the short Goliath and the water cooling extruder that you see there. And if you add another $100, you can also add cooling for your stepper motors. So it's not really expensive, but it's expensive in time because you have to do it yourself. You have to build it. Wouldn't Rack's VZ HT be as far as you can push it anyway, unless your plan is to get rid of the belts? I don't know what Rack has in his. I know Maze is working on a high temperature version that's going to be very, very awesome. But other than that, there are high temperature belts. I'm not worried too much about belts, but of course something like ball screw would be something interesting. My ultimate printer I would like to build is using linear servo motors. So you have the whole carriage sits on the motor itself. There's no belts, there's no maintenance on, it's just a big linear servo motors So I would build it like 2 on Y and 1 on X. So that would be a very, very awesome printer. Yeah, documentation has improved. There are other people that has helped me. We have built a new website for it. We have added stuff. And as the kit comes in for my team, we can work on better instructions for the kit. So that's improving every time. And we're going to keep improving. We're not stopping. No, the Pantheon uses ball screw. What I'm talking about, linear motor, linear servo motor. If you Google that, let me try to put a link in the chat there. If I can find one. Something like that. This is what I'm talking about. Linear servo motors. The entire rack is the motor iron core. The track itself is the motor. Yep, the Pantheon uses servo motors with ball screws. So it's more like a linear actuator, or yeah, it's just ball screw with a servo motor. The linear motor I'm interested in are expensive, but I've seen those motors going. They are crazy. They are crazy. But even if we have big motors, big speed on motors, we still need to melt and cool down plastic. So even there, on this printer here, the VZ235, we're not limited by motor speed. So we're still limited by how much plastic we can melt and cool. So I don't know. I don't know if going with those servo motors would be improvement. I think it would be an improvement in terms of stiffness. Everything will be super stiff, super accurate also, and that would be also good. I don't know the operating temperature on those, if it can work on a very high temp enclosure. It looks like it's slowly building up the lost chain links in the front. I wish YouTube would let us, well, I think it let us stream at 60 frames per second. It's just my my capture card doesn't do 60 frames per second. Yeah, they would solve a lot of artifacts issue because there's no springiness of belts, and the whole thing, the whole carriage, the print head would be bolted to the linear motor, and that would be perfect. If one day I have enough money to build that, that's gonna be one project I'd like to build. But for now, they're just too much expensive, and I've already quoted a couple companies and asked them if they were interested in sponsoring a build, but they said no. I don't think they're interested in 3D printing department because I think they don't think that it has enough possibility for their market. There's no money to make because nobody would be interested in paying a printer $5,000 just because it's running on servo motors, on linear servo motors. Because if you calculate that, I wanted to build like at least a 250 by 250 print volume. So the lowest I got quoted was about, if I remember right, it was about close to 2,500. But it's okay to dream. One day I'll do it. Oh, it's doing the bridges now. Let's see. Wow, it's doing it perfectly. Perfectly. That is crazy. Except that front part where it's missing the links. Let me see if I can zoom somehow better. Now I would need a different lens for that. But the bridges are perfect. They're not very hard to bridge, honestly. They're about 10 millimeters, 12 millimeters. The retraction is perfect. There's no stringing at all. That's a good thing. So we might have a working chainmail, except the front left. Yeah, the front left is all screwed up. It's just funny. It did some kind of a bridge in front, in the air. Gonna tune down pressure advanced just a tiny bit, 0.02. All right. Bridging time, nobody moves. Yep, the next layer after the bridge will be fun to it because there's no Z-hop. So is it gonna crap it all? I don't know. I think it's gonna be fine because it honestly looks very good. Except from the front, right about here, it's missing a couple links. We'll see how it gets. All right, back to the chat. Are you still going to do a podcast with the next layer at some point? Yes. We failed to do it the other day. He completely forgot about it. Things happen. And after that, I went for 2 weeks of camping vacation. Then I'm back this week and I'm gone next week. And after that, we can reschedule with him and do that interview. It's going to be fun. Yep, I have a nozzle cam from my buddy at 3DO. I I didn't install it. I have a beacon sensor where normally I would install the camera, so I don't know where and how I could mount it in a good position. And though I really like that camera, I don't like adding unnecessary stuff on the print head. Though it looks very cool and it's very fun to watch for a YouTube channel, that would be nice. But I think I can probably just swap my... Or maybe I can add another camera. Well, maybe not. My capture card is a single. Unfortunately, we're going to have to stick with that. The only thing I could do is quickly change the lens to a longer zoom lens, so we can go closer. Yeah, it would be nice to see, though. There are a couple guys that has done it on their VisiBot, so they have posted a couple videos already. Okay, I'm gonna keep that lens. It's a 18mm lens, f1.8. The Sony lens. It's a beautiful optic. I love that lens very much. It's very light, and the quality on that lens is great. Right now it is coupled with my Sony ZV-E1 that I've installed a cooling fan on it. I really thought I would do water cooling on my camera, but I stopped there. But it's still in my mind. I think I'm still gonna do it, just for the fun of the project. But that camera, I don't know if you know about Sony cameras, but it's a cheaper version of the Pro Grade FX3 camera, which is a professional camera that's worth $5,000. So the ZV-E1 is $3,000, and it has the same sensor, same everything, except it's in a cheaper version of the body. It's in plastic instead of metal, and it has no internal cooling. It has just a single SD card slot, and it's not a pro camera, but it has the same video performance, and it's overheating. If you keep filming at 4K 60p, you'll get about 25 minutes of footage before it just shut downs on you. And I've installed that cooling in the back, and since then, no issue. It's been what, like almost an hour at 4K without any overheating. And it can do 4K 120p since 2 weeks. They released a new firmware upgrade, and now I can do 4K 120p for slow motion. That is, I've tested it and it's impressive. It's very nice. I also have a Galaxy S23 Ultra that can do 960p slow motion for a couple seconds, which is also impressive, but you need tons of light to make it good. And it's only a couple seconds, like 2-3 seconds. Is there a mount for the nozzle cam on a VisiTool head? Yeah, it's in the user mod. Someone made it. Someone modded my fan dock and added the LEDs and the camera. I don't know where to get it, but if you ask in the community on Facebook or Discord, someone will answer. All right, it's done doing the bridges, and it's back to full speed. No issue whatsoever. Holy crap, that's fast. Hey, shall we crank the corner speed? I think I didn't check the corner speed, so it's still in my default 10. It is. Let's crank it up to double that, 20. And we're gonna reduce pressure advance at the same time. All right, now it's even faster. It's blipping through. That's crazy. I'm gonna take my phone and go on the feed. I'd like to go on YouTube and see what you guys see, because I don't know if the video represents what I see here in the room. It's crazy fast. It's crazy fast. All right. Well, it's not too bad. It looks blurry, so you don't see all the movement. It looks like it's teleporting or something. It's just faster than the camera can capture. Well, it's 30 frames per second, so I can't go higher than that. I might buy a new capture card that can do 4K 60 frame per, well, 1080p at 60 frame. That would be better. I can zoom out. So you can see that crappy front here, right here. Oh yeah, it could totally break your finger. There are 4 motors pushing against your finger. So yeah, it could cut, which is a metal print head. It could really damage your hand very easily. What retraction settings? It is set to, let me go in my slicer. Slicer. I think it's, well, I'm not going to say I think, I'll check it out. Okay, it is 0.4 retraction, and the speed is 70 millimeters per second retract, and de-retraction is at 80 millimeters per second. So it's doing the retraction fast. Sometimes I crank the retraction speed, and 0.4 might be a little too much. I should probably have lowered that down to maybe 0.25 would be enough. The extruder acceleration is 20K. This is the maximum. So if you tune your slicer and print at 10K, it will follow the print settings. But since we're doing 40K, it's limited at 20K. in the slicer. I could totally crank that up and go higher, because I don't think it's 0.4 millimeter retract. I don't think it's long enough to rip through the filament. I normally retract slower than I de-retract. I'm on the opposite side. A Helios, a Delta printer is also something I really would like to try, but the only thing that stopped me from building a Delta is it's big. If you want to have a big volume, you need a big printer. But thank you for your kind word. Being your inspiration is flattering, though you should be inspired by better guys than me. If there was a kit for the VZ150, that would have definitely been my choice. There will be, but one thing at a time. It's already a lot of work like that to create kits. The 235 is not out of beta. We're still improving. The 330 is still improving, though it has settled to about what I like it to be. But when we do the 150, we're gonna have enough experience. It's gonna be faster to build a kit. So yeah, in the near future, we're gonna have a 150. Cross gantry. I like the design of a cross gantry, but there are pros and cons on the Corix Y. There are pros and cons on the cross gantry. I might build a cross gantry one day. I just need a bigger house, and I just need more money. Will there be a bigger than the VZ330? We built a lot of 500 millimeters by 500 millimeters. They are just not official, but there's a company in Germany that has been working with us, and they bought us a lot of printers to go. They are 500 by 500 by 1.5 meter tall, Z tall. A crazy huge printer. They print, okay, that front is not good, but yeah, they print like mannequin. I don't even know if that's an English word, but yeah, they print big stuff, so they needed big printer. Yeah, I'm amazed that this print has served. Well, the only thing that's bad is the front portion here, and as you can see, it has built up in the air. It has recovered. It doesn't look like anything, but at least the plastic that is spilled stays there, and it doesn't affect the other links around it. So it has built up some kind of shape here that is helping, and like that, I think the print will complete just fine. And that, guys, is a retraction torture. That's probably the biggest retraction torture I've done to this printer so far. The estimated print time on this one, let's see. I don't know how accurate this is. Let me refresh the screen just to make sure. It's been printing for an hour and 15. It's estimating about 15 more minutes. The print should be ending at 23 hours and 7 minutes Eastern time. I'm on Eastern time. No, and you know what about that moon motor? Let me see if I can touch it to see. It is not even hot, not even warm. Impressive, and I'm running it at 0.85 amp. And the reason why it stays cool is because of the water cooling. And I didn't expect that, to be honest. I didn't think that the motor would be cold by that, because if you look at the extruder, there is only a tiny minimal amount of contact between the motor and the extruder, but it's metal to metal, and it looks like it's enough to keep that motor cool, because the same motor on a printed version, it was getting really hot to a point where you couldn't leave your finger on it, and it was running like 0.65 or 0.7 amp. But with that metal extruder that is water cooled, it is not even warm. It is not even warm. Well, it's I would say about 40 degrees Celsius. And room temperature is 24 Celsius. There are one big radiator, 240 millimeter radiator, water cooling radiator. There's a lot of fluid moving around, and fluid stays at room temperature. Well, it's 25 Celsius and room is 24. Just to give you an idea on how that works. I've been testing with the LDO 20 millimeter version and compared to the Moon. They're both good. I just find that the LDO runs a bit hotter, but it can take it. And I also found that I think the Moon is a bit more torquey. Not too sure. Jason is not Jason is not watching this video, so I can say I prefer the Moon motor on the extruder, but the LDO motors everywhere else on the printer, it's LDO, and I love them. The super power motors are great motors. On the extruder, I prefer it. No, I prefer the 10 teeth, honestly. Reason why is with the 8 teeth, you're gonna max out. If you go crazy, if you try to bring that hot end to its limit at around 100 and something, like 105, it will start to spin to its limit RPM, and it will lose all its power to extrude, and it's gonna fail. Compared to the 10 teeth, where you can still crank up a bit more. And what I've found is with the 8 teeth, it's a lot harder to align all the gears together, and it creates artifacts. I don't know why. Probably because, again, it's really hard to align the palm gear, the 50 teeth gear, with the 8 teeth gear perfectly. So you either have too much backlash or not enough, it's too close or too far. And I found I never had very good result with the 8 teeth, so I decided not to use it. Holy cow, there's a big chunk. Oh, yeah, that's okay. I've cut it. I was scared for a moment. Right here in the front, it built up a big chunk of plastic, and it hit the fan duct. I heard a crack, but the crack was from the chainmail and not from the fan duct. Fortunately enough. Hey Vez, have you been liking the muffler? Yes, a lot. I'm right next to the printer here. CPAP is at 60%. Do you hear anything? Oh, I do. I do hear it, but it's very quiet. It's a lot more tolerable, if that's a good word, than without the muffler. It's not that it reduces the sound by a lot, it's just that it changes the sound to something that is more pleasant to hear. But it's also lowering the decibel. But it's just that frequency is not high pitch anymore, so it's just better. Yeah, there's a lot more things that could be done to that CPAP fan. We could put it on its own box and put some dampening material. And do I think it's necessary? I'm perfectly fine with the sound level that it is now. Perfectly good. I can have a phone call while it's printing. I can talk to you while it's printing. You can hear me just fine. That is good. It was a lot worse before. And if there's a version of the 330, yes, I know a guy has modified it for the 330. I didn't test it. I need to check on this. Otherwise, I will just make one. It needs to be different. So it's almost completed. I'm going to print hundreds of those and make something. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, you probably have the first release of the Extruder. Though it doesn't change much that I've noticed, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. If you still wish to upgrade the gears, because at some point the gears will wear depending on how much abrasive material you're going to print, then you can change and order a gear set. Oh, Tiger 3D Printing, welcome, buddy. Good to see you there. Is that right? What do you see there? Hold on. Is that right? Remote cooling duct wobbling, or is just a just a camera artifact? This is stable. I don't know what you see there. The RSCS doesn't move at all. It's stable. Maybe a camera thing. Let me check on my phone. I don't see it moving on my side. How many layers left? It's the last layer. Huh, look at that. It's done in a couple seconds. It could be, yeah, focus breathing maybe. Could be, I don't know. I don't see it moving. It definitely moves. Yep, I don't know. Maybe the camera, but I can guarantee you it is not moving here. Let me turn the camera just to the side and see if that will. I'm going to set the focus on it. I'm watching the feed from my phone and it doesn't move at all. Yep. Anyway, it's about done. Let me put the focus back on the print head. Yeah, there's a lot of weird things happening with the camera when it's 30 frames per second and electricity is 60 frames per second. Those lights are all LEDs and I don't know at which frequency they flicker. They are DC lights, though there's one AC light that could be causing it. There we go. Print is done. Let's see now. Let's see if we can. Well, right now it's doing a time-lapse rendering. We don't need that. And I don't have any way to stop that. Let me do a clipper shutdown. And I'm going to restart that so it keeps cooling it. There we go. Lights will be back soon as Clipper restarts. And I don't know about you, but since a couple release, it always takes a couple clicks. Oh, it was restarting and I did it again. Sorry. I click on the emergency button or the restart button again. Come on, Clipper. Start, please. There we go. All right. Now it's back to cooling the hot end. So let's see how this thing well, let me bring back the camera a bit. It printed quite nicely. Let's see if that's gonna pop out. It's still warm, so the feeling is cool. You can sorry, focus. There we go. That is so cool. First time I print this thing. I don't want to break it. It's so tiny. There are some links that are still stuck on that bed plate. But it feels good to the touch. Oh, come on, there's just that right side. Couple links left. The best thing to do is to wait for it to cool down, but here it is. That's a very cool print, man. I like this a lot. Could totally modify that thing and maybe wear it, make something out of it. That was it. That is so cool. All right, so this live is about done. Oh, here is Jason. Hi, Jason. Very happy to see you. You just missed the entire print. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. We can do this again and again. We should try with like 60K and faster speed. You can burn the superpower on 56 volt, not a problem. I think I'm on 48 volts and I run them at 2.4, and that's they didn't cry so far. They're not even warm right now. They're about, I would say, 30 Celsius. That water cooling is working awesome. So that was a cool print. I'm really happy. It turned out great. There's absolutely, I don't know if you see that. There's no stringing. There is nothing. It printed as good as if I was printing it very slow. Good job, VZBot. All right. So anyway, I'll let you guys go. It's about what time is it? 11 p.m. So it finished a bit faster than what Mainsail was telling me. So that's good. I'm gonna go to bed, and on this I wish you all a good night, and can't wait to post some videos of my, yeah. All right. So anyway, I wish you all a good night. Thanks for watching. No, are you kidding me, Jason? You gave me 50 bucks right there. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jason. That's very, very kind. I wish you a good night, and take care, guys. Don't forget, stay hydrated before going to bed. Drink water. Rum is not good. Leave it for me. Goodbye, guys.